It's time for another 2025 NBA mock draft. I have one more remaining after this one. That is the final one. Why? Because we are 1 week away from today. It is the real thing, Wednesday, June 25th. But this one's a little bit of a different one. We're doing it with a couple blockbuster trades. And make sure you do subscribe here to the channel and join us next Wednesday, because it is 1 week away. Because I'll be live on the channel for round one, round two, NBA draft coverage you do not want to miss. We have the picks in faster than anywhere else. Analysis, breakdowns, commentary. Hit that sub button, turn on notifications, and don't miss our live show on Wednesday and Thursday of next week for the NBA draft. All right, we will not be shaking up the number one overall pick. I don't think anything could be offered to the Mavericks to have them do that. I don't even think Giannis could do that. So Cooper Flagg is going to be a Dallas Maverick. He has been the only player to work out in Dallas. No shock. He had dinner with Nico Harrison recently, and it seems like that's going to be the pick. No brainer. Flagg is in Dallas. Number two, no trade. The Spurs will keep this pick. They'll go Dylan Harper, the guard from Rutgers. And I don't think that these should be surprised. Personally, I have Harper and Flagg in the same tier. I don't know if I'm crazy for that, but I really am high on Harper. I think he's very worthy of a number one selection. Just happens to be in a draft class with a guy like Cooper Flagg. The Spurs are a team that are interesting because does Harper come off the bench to start? Does he play off ball to De'Aaron Fox? Is there a world where Harper is so good with Fox being an unrestricted free agent this upcoming summer, not this summer, the next, do they trade Fox at the deadline and roll with Harper, Castle, Vassell, and Wemby? All I know is that Dylan Harper will be a San Antonio Spur. All right, first blockbuster trade. 76ers and Pelicans make something happen here. You saw earlier this week, the Pacers traded the 23rd pick to the Pelicans in order to get their first-round pick next year. So the Pacers get back their 2026 first, giving up their 25 first at 23. I think this is a move for New Orleans to make that trade to get picks 7 and 23 for them to move up in the draft. You package those two picks, Herbert Jones, to get the third overall selection from Philly, Kelly Oubre, and Andre Drummond. Those two would have to opt into their contracts, but if you're Philadelphia and New Orleans is that desperate to move up to number 3, and I think you have to take this. It's just a really good trade for the Sixers. I think it works out for New Orleans if they are eyeing a certain prospect. And this is the first blockbuster trade in this mock draft. And I have them going with Ace Bailey. There's a lot of buzz out there that Bailey is someone viewed very highly in that New Orleans Pelicans organization. Similar play style to Brandon Ingram. Like a similar mold. That mid-range, lengthy, athletic wing scorer. Do they want to replace Brandon Ingram with a guy like Ace Bailey? We will see. But if there is a team that trades up to the third overall pick and Philly moves back, I think it will be for Ace Bailey. If the Sixers stay at number 3, I think they'll go Edgecombe. But that brings us to today's pinned comment of the video. Predict it. Where does Ace Bailey get taken? Over or under? Pick 3.5. That's a great line. Will he go picks 4 and beyond, or will he be that third overall pick? Let me know your thoughts, over or under. Well, if Edgecombe doesn't go number 3 and the Pelicans trade up to get him, I think he's a slam dunk for Charlotte at number 4. A lot of buzz surrounding the Hornets and Edgecombe if VJ were to get there. He is just a perfect fit for the Hornets. You slide him at the 2 guard next to LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. 3.6% steal rate, really active defender, can handle the ball as well in the transition and the open floor, improving as a pick and roll ball handler as well, freak athlete, just an absolute home run selection for Charlotte. If he's there at 4, I think the Hornets have to run to the podium. At number 5, we're going to have Trey Johnson go to the Utah Jazz. Johnson's actually 4th on my big board, trailing Edgecombe. I have Edgecombe as my 3rd prospect. If you're wondering, I have Ace Bailey at number 6. But Trey Johnson, there's a lot of connections between Utah and Trey, one of the most prolific shooters in this draft class without a question. He is someone that I think would be coveted in Utah as they continue to try to build out that backcourt, whether it's with Collier, whether it's Keontae Johnson. Trey Johnson, good +6 wingspan, lights-out shooter, good fit in Utah. At number 6, I'm going with Jeremiah Fears to the Washington Wizards. I have recently mocked Khaman Maluach to the Wizards to move Alex Sarr to the 4. But there's just so much buzz and circulation around Fears in Washington that the Wizards view him very highly. I am a massive fan of Fears. He's my 5th overall player in the class. He's got a really good first step. He just knows how to get to the line. He's a scorer. He's one of the youngest players in this class. I understand the fit as well. If they are moving Jordan Poole, and I also don't think the Wizards should take into consideration anything with Jordan Poole, but Bub Carrington, the 14th pick last year, he could play off ball. You put Fears on ball, Carrington at the 2, Coulibaly at the 3, Alex Sarr at the 4, and you have other draft picks in this class to take a center, or you try to make a trade for one. You know what? That's an interesting team with Poole and Keyshawn George coming off the bench. So Fears to Washington, I think, is gaining a lot of traction. I'll ride the momentum here in my mock draft. So the Sixers, who traded back with the Pelicans from number 3 to number 7, also picked up Herb Jones at 23. I'll have them going with Khaman Maluach, the center from Duke. And I've loved this fit this entire time. I think you could argue that Kneppel and Maluach are the 2 best fits for Philadelphia. I have them going Maluach over Kneppel here. I think with Embiid, you just don't know what he's giving you. They need a backup center in a big-time way. So you get Maluach, you give him 1 or 2 years to develop before he becomes the full-time center as Embiid goes to retirement or a off-the-bench role due to his injury history. I love Maluach's fit in the Philadelphia 76ers organization. Gives him time to develop, be an impact player off the bench, and then be the full-time starter. So if I trade back and I'm Philly, I'm probably trying to get Maluach at that trade back spot. So with Jeremiah Fears off the board, Trey Johnson off the board, I have the Nets going with my top guard at this spot, my 7th overall player, Kasparas Giacochonis. I really like Giacochonis. He's got great size, 6'6", with shoes on. Was a 35.8% three-point shooter on step-back threes, 90-plus percentile as a ball handler in the pick and roll. He can really be a lead on-ball guard for a team given the opportunity. The Nets need to just get all the talent specifically in that backcourt they can have, and I think Giacochonis is that perfect fit. At number 9, I have the Raptors going with Carter Bryant, the forward from Arizona, someone just continuing to rise up boards. Great frame, 6'6", without shoes. He's built like a brick truck. He shot extremely well from 3 and the corner, 45% plus from each side. You also saw opposing players shoot 29% from jumpers when Bryant was the close defender. I think he could have a larger role offensively at the next level, but would need to have that working with Brandon Ingram, working with Scotty Barnes, potentially off the bench. I think Carter Bryant is a player to really monitor for the Raptors at pick number 9. The Kneppel slide in this mock draft ends here at 10. And how cheat code would it be if the Rockets, who obviously could trade this pick for KD, but I have Durant going to a different team later in this mock draft, so stay tuned, get Kneppel. They needed more perimeter shooting. Kneppel can slide right into a big-time role off the bench, be a shooter, be a defender, a secondary ball handler. This just makes so much sense if he's there at 10 for Houston. I don't think he could be there, but in this situation, I have him sliding to number 10. I could see it. It's going to be an interesting draft night because I think Kneppel could go as high as 4 to Charlotte. Could see him going as low as here to Houston at 10. But if he's there at 10, I just don't see the Rockets passing up on that. At number 11, Noah Essenge from France going to the Blazers. Just one of my favorite fits potentially for Noah. The Blazers can just use so much talent in that front court. They have the backcourt, right? Simon, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. But with the Jeremy Grant buzz, the DeAndre Ayton and Donovan Clingan center combination, they just need more front court pieces. I think Portland would rather have Carter Bryant, but with him off the board, I have them going with the talented Frenchman who just played extremely well down the stretch for Ratio Farm in their playoffs in the German league. Essenge, a very low-floor, high-ceiling prospect, finds a perfect home in Portland. The most common mock draft combination at this point is Derek Queen to the Bulls at number 12. I'll continue that trend. It sounds like Vucevic finally might get traded. Queen's my number 2 center in this class, just right behind Khaman Maluach. I think this is a good fit for him as he'll be able to get the ball in his hands, initiating offense with having players like potentially Kobe White, Buzelis. I think Buzelis is a good fit next to Queen in that front court as well. Yeah, Queen certainly does need to improve his defense and hopefully develop an outside perimeter shot, but this is a good fit for him and Chicago. More mock draft selections here to come, but make sure you follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff as I'm talking more NBA draft stuff. And while we go live on draft night, I'll have live reactions on the channel as well as on my social media. So make sure you go follow me for more content in the draft space and in the NBA world at Nic_Rohloff. The Hawks at number 13, I think, need to find a backup center to Onyeka Okongwu. And with Queen and Maluach off the board, look no further than Thomas Sorber, one of my favorite players in the class. I think I'm higher on him than the consensus. He's my 13th overall player. I have him going pick number 13. His unbelievable +9 wingspan, where he's 6'10 without shoes, 7'6 wingspan, and then he has the ability to deter shots inside, be a lob threat. Great on the glass as well. I think as he continues to get more reps, more PT, he could be really solid in the NBA. Clint Capella's finally going to be off that Hawks roster this offseason, so I think Sorber slides in. They already got the front court pieces with Jalen Johnson and Reece Sachet. Got Trae Young in the backcourt. Let's certify that center rotation with Thomas Sorber. The Spurs are keeping their second pick in this draft at pick number 14. I have them going with Cedric Coward, the forward from Washington State. My 17th overall player, 6'5", 7'2 wingspan, just incredible measurements. He did not play a lot last year, only 6 games, but when he was on the floor, he was absolutely phenomenal. Cedric Coward is a player I am a big fan of, was committed to Duke before staying in the draft. 5.3% block rate. I think he's one of the best defenders in this class. Excellent mid-range shooter. 58.6% in those 6 games on his non-rim 2-point shots. He was really good in the post as well, taking advantage of mismatches. 1.66 points per possession in post-up situations, which ranked 99th percentile. Coward could use some more development, but as a team in San Antonio that has 2 picks and won't need him to contribute right away, yeah, Coward would be a home run pick. This would also be a cheat code. Colin Murray-Boyles to the OKC Thunder at 15. The rich would just get richer. I am a little bit lower on Murray-Boyles than I think most. I have him 19th on my board. But the most versatile defender in this class, could really guard potentially 1 through 5 at the next level, is a good passer in the half court as well. Just a really good player that Sam Presti could add to that rotation off the bench as just a Swiss Army knife defender, almost a chess piece, if you will. Sure, the offensive fit is skeptical because he just can't space the floor at this point in his basketball career, but they don't need him to score because of what that Thunder team would have around him. So you just let him to be a menace defensively and create and transition in the half court. Yeah, that would be crazy. The Memphis Grizzlies now own the 16th pick, thanks to that Desmond Bane trade with the Orlando Magic. I have them going with Nick Clifford. I think this is a perfect Desmond Bane replacement. They start Scottie Pippen Jr. down the stretch for most of last season. You keep Ja. You slide Neek into the 2. Jalen Wells at the 3. Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 4. And Steven Adams at the 5. That's an interesting team with that other draft capital they have. I am really high on Clifford. I have him as my 16th player in the class, so perfect fit here. Just does everything well, can play off ball, can play on ball, defends, rebounds at a really high level. Perfect Desmond Bane replacement for the Grizzlies if he's on the board. Agor Demen's slide ends here with the Timberwolves at 17. I thought about making this my Kevin Durant trade landing spot, but I ultimately did not because I think Durant wins out and goes to one of his preferred destinations, which is San Antonio, Miami, or Houston. The Timberwolves will like to add a point guard to replace Mike Conley long-term. Yeah, they drafted Rob Dillingham last year, but I see him more as a sixth-man scorer off the bench rather than a starter next to Ant. Could you get the 6'10 true playmaking guard, Agor Demen? That would be a pretty fun fit to me next to Ant in the backcourt, and I think Demen, if he's able to develop a shot, could be the steal of this draft without a question. All right, the NBA draft is a week away. Get your NBA draft tats right now, whether you're a fan of the Sixers, the Mavs, the Spurs, the Hornets. It doesn't matter what team you're a fan of because they have every size, every style, every color, every team. Go to chatsports.com/2025 draft tats. That link's in the description and comments of today's video. Pick yours up today, and I think if you order today, you might be able to get them in your building for draft night in 7 days. Don't wait any longer. Grab yours today. Wizards at 18. I had them going Jeremiah Fears earlier. I mentioned that I think they could draft a center later in this first round to move Alex Sarr to the 4. And my number 1 center at this point is Asa Newell from Georgia. He could play the 4, could play the 5, really versatile, developed a little bit of an outside shot as the season went on for the Georgia Bulldogs. But to me, his motor, defense, and tenacity on the glass is just the perfect big man next to the number 2 pick from last year, Alex Sarr. You get those two as your 4-5 combo, big win in my book. Then the Nets at pick number 19. I had them going with Kasparas Yakachonis, so why not let's get a 3-and-D wing, Rasheer Fleming. I think Fleming is criminally underrated. I see in some mock drafts him go to the Nets at 27. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's a top half player in this draft. I have him as my 15th overall player. 6'9", 7'5" wingspan, shot 39% from 3, 66% at the rim, excellent play finisher, dominant defender as well, averaging more than 3 stocks a game for the Redhawks in the A-10. You pair him up. If they don't make a trade, which they probably will, but just say they keep everything status quo. Yakachonis, Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, Fleming, Nick Claxton. That's a interesting starting 5 for Brooklyn going in the next year. Trade alert, trade alert, trade alert. You probably would have guessed it, but I teased throughout the video, KD would be traded, and here is the trade. I have him going to the Miami Heat, and the Suns receive a combination of Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and the 20th overall pick. Now, this trade does not work in the trade machine because it is just too much salary for Phoenix to acquire, but I think you could see a third team get involved. It's more or less the principle of that's what the Heat's giving up. The Suns are getting the 20th pick. They get cap relief in Duncan Robinson, young forwards in Jovic and Jaquez, and KD goes to a place he said he'd be willing to extend in with the Miami Heat. I think I said it earlier. It's either going to be Miami or San Antonio for KD, and I have it, I can't stumble on my word, Houston or Miami for KD. That's what I think happens. I have it going to Miami here in this one. But predict it for me before we show who the Suns pick with this mock draft. Where does KD get traded? I think it's either Miami or Houston. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. With that 20th pick, I know a lot of people were going to expect a center for the Suns because it's something that they desperately want. I think with their 29th pick, they could go center. So why not go Nolan Traore, the speedy guard from France? They need a point guard anyway. Tyus Jones is a free agent. They need someone to be that backcourt partner for Devin Booker long term. Maybe they want it to be Bradley Beal for one season, which maybe that's the case, and Traore comes off the bench in that point as their lead ball handler there for that second unit. Traore, I'm high on him, man. Speedy, 6'3" without shoes, 6'8" wingspan, one of the best playmakers. If he just develops a more consistent three-point shot, pair that up with his ability to get 2 feet in the paint so often because he could beat his defender off the dribble, Traore would fit really well next to D-Book. Utah Jazz at 21. I know I had them taking Trey Johnson earlier in this mock draft at 5. I think they're just in the business of taking best player available, which at this point on my board is Jace Richardson, the combo guard from Michigan State. He's 6 foot, plays off ball, but he can shoot the lights out of it. He can defend, and he did show some ability to play on ball as a pick and roll handler in very limited usage for the Spartans. Maybe he gets more usage. Maybe he shows that he's more of a natural point guard at that size. Either way, just a really good basketball player. Hawks at 22. I have them going with Liam McNeely, the guard/forward from UConn. I think they could use some shooting alongside the Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Risa Shea kind of 3-4-1 if you're talking positions. McNeely could be that size 2 guard. He didn't shoot as well as it would be expected for the UConn Huskies last year, but I am a fan of McNeely long-term when he's able to play off the ball more. The Sixers, with their second pick after they traded earlier in this draft, I have them taking a Duthiero. I'm really high on the forward from Arkansas. I have him as my 22nd player in the class. Just an incredible athlete. Like, I've made this joke before, and I'm going to continue to make it. Like, he looks like the long-lost brother of the Thompson twins. Like, there's a third one of them. That's how athletic he is. Ready for this, folks? A player that had a usage rate of 25% or higher, offensive rating of 115 or higher, true shooting is 60% or higher, 40 made dunks, Thiero, Zion Williamson, Trace Jackson Davis, Deron Holmes, Tari Eason. Pretty good company to get a player of his caliber of a rim protector, off-ball defender, an elite slasher. That'd be a great pick off the bench for the Sixers. OKC with their second pick, going Drake Powell, guard/forward from North Carolina. He's just an incredible defender. And I know with this mock draft, I have the Thunder taking two guys that focus on defense primarily. Add to the best defense in the NBA. Why not? You have enough offense with SGA, Jalen Williams, and Holmgren. So Powell, I think, would fit in really nicely off the bench as a defender. You might see a little bit of a roster shakeup for them potentially, with money coming down the line with Chet and Jalen Williams. Maybe they try to get off some contracts that they've already given out, like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, and maybe Powell can slide into one of those roles off the bench. I think this is the most likely pick in the 20s to actually happen. Walter Clayton Jr. to the Magic. Magic still kept this pick after the Desmond Bane trade. What do they need after losing Cole Anthony? They need bench shooting and bench scoring. Even with Bane, they need even more shooting too. So I think Walter Clayton just replaces Cole Anthony's role as the point guard off the bench that can create for himself, create for others, and knock down shots from the perimeter. Perfect fit for Clayton. Perfect fit for the Magic at 25. Nets have two picks here at 26 and 27. I'll go with Will Riley from Illinois. I'll go with Danny Wolf from Michigan, the center. I think those two would be great for them here. I am not a big Will Riley fan. I have a second-round grade on him due to his lack of wingspan, his frailness, and his inability to be a consistent jump shooter at Illinois. But with him coming off the bench in Brooklyn, having a chance to really just kind of marinate and develop in their system, 2 years down the line could be a home run pick. And they need a backup center or a starting center, depending on what they do. Danny Wolf is my top one on the board. Can space it, can shoot it, can play make it, can handle it. Wolf would be fascinating in Brooklyn. We're going to have a run of centers here. At 28, the Celtics, I have Ryan Kalkbrenner. And at 29 with the Suns, I have Maxime Reynaud. Kalkbrenner could fit perfectly. Who knows if Al Horford retires? Sounds like Porzingis could be traded. They took a Creighton Blue Jay last year in the first round and Baylor Shireman. Could they reunite those two teammates? Kalkbrenner could start right away for them. He could come off the bench. Luke Kornet's a free agent. I think they might look big men, and I think Kalkbrenner at this point in my mock was the best one available. And then with the Suns, I haven't taken Traore earlier, but we know they want a center. Right now, 7-footer, probably the most offensively gifted center in this class. Would have been the ACC Player of the Year if Cooper Flagg didn't exist. Can space it. Don't think he's the best defender, and he needs to improve his play strength a little bit as well. But at pick number 29, I could see the Suns being very intrigued with the offensive talent at 7 feet that Ray now possesses. We'll round out the mock draft with Noah Penda going to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think they could look for a center here, to be honest. So maybe Yohan Berenger from France, but Penda could learn behind Kawhi Leonard and just really blossom. One of the best physical defenders at the wing position. There's a lot to like with Noah Penda. Up and down three-point shooter, but had a 3.3% steal rate, 5.6% block rate. And in isolation settings, opposing scorers shot 27.3% from the field against him. He just is a really good defender. And he had an 8.6 offensive rebound percentage as well. So he's aggressive on the glass. He defends. You let him kind of hone in his craft behind Kawhi Leonard, and you might have a Kawhi replacement in a couple years. So, 2 blockbuster trades, 30 picks. So, grade Rolly's mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know how I did. You can include the trades in there. What picks were the best? What picks were the worst? Let me know. But just make sure you subscribe because we will have more draft content from now until the draft next Wednesday. And as I mentioned off the top, we will be live on the channel June 25th for the first round. We'll be live the next day as well for the second round. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss a piece of draft content.